Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Reloading Chat. So I'm going to prime a little bit of 9mm here, and let's talk about a story I just read in the Washington Post. I was not aware the number was this high. I know not that long ago this was only 5 states, but apparently New Hampshire is now the 11th state to pass some sort of handgun carry without a license. And that's interesting because there's a bunch of other states with laws coming up this year to where they're going to be voting on this also, including my state of Texas. Texas is traditionally known for having one of the most strict concealed handgun licenses to get. So much so that many people in Texas, I know a lot of people, who choose to get out-of-state licenses, which is usually what I recommend, just because the Texas one is so annoying to get. Because it's so time-consuming, because they have to dig so far into your medical history and everything. It takes them forever to get it done, and then they charge more for it than other states. You can just get out-of-state ones cheaper and faster, that Texas honors. So even Texas is possibly doing away with this. In fact, we've got 2 different bills coming up this year, 2 different bills to get rid of the CHLs here completely. One of them is a full constitutional carry, and one of them is just permitless carry with stipulations put on it. So hopefully the full constitutional carry passes, but there's something like a dozen states with votes coming up for this year. And again, this shouldn't be a surprise. This shouldn't be a surprise. Donald Trump just got elected as one of the most pro-Second Amendment presidential candidates in a while. We have a very, very Republican House and Senate now. The majority of governors are Republican. So this is no real surprise that I think we're going this direction. After this election turned out this way, we're going to see a lot of momentum in the gun rights world. And we're going to start overturning a lot of this gun control out there. But yeah, 11 states now do something that's either constitutional carry or very, very close to it. So, you know, the direction that's going, I think we're going to see a positive direction in that. And the thing is, most people who understand the Constitution with this would argue that this is actually the correct way to do it. And, you know, the argument even in the article is some of the sheriff's departments in these states are saying, hey, you know, this is our only way to regulate this, to regulate who carries, is at least have some sort of system and a licensing and a background check. But, you know, here's the thing. The Founding Fathers didn't want the Second Amendment to be regulated. That was their intention, is that it was not supposed to be regulated by the government, that the people themselves self-regulated that. That was the whole point of the Second Amendment. And it's kind of like there's a lot of other things that we don't regulate either. Do we regulate free speech? People say, yeah, but, you know, people need to know basic gun safety and handling and everything. I'm like, well, why don't we teach that in school? Since we already teach people their other rights and how to practice them, why don't we have mandatory gun safety courses in school? That would resolve the entire issue completely of people's concerns. Make it mandatory. We already have mandatory curriculums. It wouldn't be that hard to teach some basic gun safety in school. It's a constitutional right guaranteed to you. You might as well be taught how to do it safely. If you're going to be a citizen of this country, that's only reasonable. Now, the whole thing also is that what other constitutional right do you have to be licensed so the police get oversight of? Just because someone could be hurt or is potentially dangerous in some way? Well, how about voting? Voting can be pretty dangerous. Does that you have to have a licensing for that? Hell, they made it illegal to check IDs. It's considered unconstitutional to check someone's photo ID when they go to vote. But that's not even as important in the Bill of Rights as the Second Amendment is. The Second Amendment's your second right. So that should mean that you shouldn't need an ID for that either to carry a gun. Let's be honest here. Let's be consistent. What about free speech? You don't think free speech is dangerous? People haven't been killed because of free speech or freedom of the press, things of press rights. You know, you don't have to have a license to have free speech. What I would say is, why do we need licensing for this? Why don't we just teach basic gun safety and give people their freedoms? And if someone does something wrong, why don't you arrest them? That's what I would say to the police chiefs and stuff who say, well, we need this for some oversight. You need oversight to regulate people's rights. Why don't you just wait till someone breaks the law or attempts to break the law and then do your job? I mean, that's not that hard to do. It's not that hard to do. It's not like you require a special license or a background check for someone to buy alcohol. That's pretty dangerous. And here's the thing. The only people who are ever going to bother with this procedure are the people who follow the law anyways. Your biggest concern with gun violence is that criminals are going to use guns. Well, if they've got a criminal background, they've already bought a gun illegally anyways. What makes you think that they're not going to carry it illegally also? The only people who even bother with the carry licenses when they exist or the laws are the people who are already law-abiding citizens who want to follow the law. Let me explain how this works. Someone who decides, well, I want to break the law, I want to go rob a store or kill someone indiscriminately with my gun, do you think that they're going to bother with a procedure like this, or do you think that they're just going to go pick up their gun and go do it? I mean, seriously, does anyone honestly think that gang members are going to go through the process of getting a license to carry their gun, or are they just going to carry it? I mean, do you really think this lowers crime in any way to have a licensing process? Of course not. It doesn't lower it at all. Furthermore, it's not like you can just search people anyway. So it's like, well, you know, the police search you anyways and you're carrying a gun illegally. Even if there's a place where there's a licensing system in place, well, if they didn't have probable cause to search you, which meant you were probably breaking some other law anyways, they don't have probable cause to search you. They can't charge you with anything. They can't charge you with anything. And if you legally own the gun, they're probably going to sue you to get their gun back if the police keep it. Because you stole their property that they are the rightful owner of. And again, you can't charge them with carrying it to keep the gun, because if you didn't have probable cause to search them, you wouldn't have known they had it anyways. You guys see the problem? The whole licensing thing doesn't really fix anything. All it does is infringe constitutional rights. All it does is cost people money. And I would say, again, offer free classes. If your concern is gun safety, offer free gun safety classes. Make it mandatory curriculum in school and offer classes. If the police are worried about that, or law enforcement are worried about that, why don't they teach gun safety courses? Why don't they teach gun safety courses then? Why don't they go ahead and do that if that's their concern? And because here's how this works. The unfortunate thing is that there are a lot of people who, with this licensing in place anyways, I know people for a fact who refuse to get a license and carry. I know people who are veterans who say, I swore an oath to uphold the Constitution, and the Constitution says that. I've served my country already. I refuse to get a license to carry. I know veterans who are like that. I know one personally who carries and refuses to get a license even though he qualifies. He can afford it. He can absolutely afford it. He can absolutely pass the background check. He refuses to get it because, in his opinion, if he actually supported the licensing process and got one himself, he would feel like he broke his oath to upkeep the Constitution and protect it when he joined the military. That he feels that he would personally be an oath breaker, and he would be violating the Constitution if he participated in a system that infringes the Second Amendment, such as the concealed carry license system. And therefore he refuses to do it on moral grounds because he swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. You guys see the problem we have there? That we're perfectly reasonable, well-educated veterans and people like him who have no criminal record, has a fantastic income, would technically be charged with a crime because he refuses to participate in something that he knows that he feels would personally break his oath to uphold the Constitution. And he's technically right. It is unconstitutional. And so, yeah, it's fantastic that we have that many, that we just had an 11th state pass a permitless carry, and something like 12 to 14 others have it coming up for a vote this year, including Texas and Colorado. So that's pretty interesting. I'd like to see more of that, and I think that's the direction we need to go as a nation. And that's going to get really interesting now that we have that many when this right to carry reciprocity goes through, because Trump has already promised it in an executive order. All right, that's already been promised, and there's a current bill being drafted for the House for this year also to give right to carry reciprocity, which has a very, very high chance of passing. So when that passes, one of the clauses in there is that states have to honor any form of ID from a state that has constitutional carry, meaning New York City, Washington, D.C., L.A., someone who comes from a state that has constitutional carry, under that federal law, the local police will have to honor their state-issued ID as a carry license, and if they come from a state that doesn't require licenses. So that'll be interesting when that happens. That'll be interesting for travel. which would also mean that what a lot of people will do would be get some sort of property in some of those other places just so they don't have to deal with local licenses. It'd be a good way around it. Which again, people should find ways around it. Someone would say, well, that's awful. That's playing the system. No, it's not. That system in place to even require you to have a license is a violation of the Constitution, and it should be illegal. We should be charging the people who wrote those laws with treason and violating our constitutional rights. I mean, let's be honest here. And again, if your concern is gun safety, why don't you make them mandatory in school? We could do that easily. Mandatory gun safety courses in school. If your concern is criminals getting guns, put the criminals in jail. Put the criminals in jail. They can't get a gun in jail. Why are you letting criminals back out on the street who are too dangerous to own a gun? Real simple question. And that kind of breaks down the whole flaw in this system. Well, illegal aliens will get guns. Well, why are there illegal aliens in this country? Well, gang members will get guns. Why are there gang members in this country? Your background check can tell they're a gang member? Well, if that's the case, you already know where they live. You know they're a gang member, you know where they live. Why don't you do something about it? Why haven't the government done something about it? You need to wait for them to come get a background check on a gun. You need to wait for them to apply for a carry license. Well, they're a dangerous felon. If they're a dangerous felon, why are they on the street? I thought we had laws and prisons in place to protect people from people who were too dangerous to be out on the street. Why are they walking the street if you know they're dangerous? And if they aren't dangerous, then what's the problem? If you feel they've been rehabilitated enough to let them out of prison, what's the problem with them exercising their constitutional right? You telling me that they don't have a right to defend their life from violent attackers? You telling me they don't have a right to their Second Amendment? Just because someone has some checkered past? That's not what it says in the Constitution. I don't see that written anywhere in there. I don't see that anywhere in the Bill of Rights that if you broke some whatever law and then you're set free of it and you're out on the street again and you're not on parole, not on probation, not in prison, that your constitutional rights are revoked. I don't seem to recall any of that being written in the Constitution anywhere. Did I miss something? All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.